The council chamber on Zenith Prime Station was the largest room Kyle Morrison had ever seen. The ceiling stretched so high above that clouds sometimes formed near the top. 12 platforms floated in a circle, each one holding the representative of an elder species. These were the races that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, long before humans even knew other intelligent life existed. Kyle stood on the human platform, which was the smallest and closest to the floor. That was intentional. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 200 years ago. In galactic terms, that made them babies. The other species never let them forget it. Today was supposed to be a routine session. Kyle had prepared a report on human colony development and some minor trade disputes. Nothing exciting. Nothing dangerous. He had been looking forward to a quiet day. Then Commander Zethkar stood up on the Krithian platform. The Krithians were a warrior race. Everyone knew that. They had conquered dozens of worlds before joining the council. They had sharp features, red skin, and eyes that never seemed to blink. Zethkar was tall even for a Krithian, nearly 7 feet, with decorations covering his chest that marked him as a veteran of many battles. "Honored Council," Zethkar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "I bring a declaration from the Krithian Empire. We are claiming the human colonies in the Outer Rim. These territories are underdeveloped and poorly defended. According to Council Law, Section 47, Paragraph 12, such territories may be claimed by species capable of proper development." Kyle felt his blood go cold. The Outer Rim colonies were home to nearly 50 million humans. They were mining colonies, research stations, and farming worlds. They were not rich or powerful, but they were home. "Commander Zethkar," Kyle said, trying to keep his voice calm, "those colonies are sovereign human territory. They have been registered with the Council for over a century. You cannot simply claim them." Zethkar turned to look at Kyle. His mouth stretched into something that might have been a smile, but it looked more like a predator showing teeth. "Ambassador Morrison, your species is young. You do not understand how things work in the galaxy. The strong take what they need. The weak accept it." "We are not weak," Kyle said. Several council members made sounds that Kyle had learned meant amusement. Zethkar actually laughed out loud. "Ambassador, please. We have studied your history. Yes, your species was once violent. You fought terrible wars against yourselves, but that was long ago. You have spent the last 150 years being peaceful. You negotiate. You compromise. You avoid conflict. You have become soft." Kyle looked around at the other council members. Ambassador Velthar of the Saurian Collective was watching with his 4 eyes narrowed. Ambassador Linara of the Nexus Alliance had her hands folded, her face unreadable. The others looked bored or uncomfortable. None of them spoke up. "The Council has rules about territorial disputes," Kyle said. "There are processes, arbitration, negotiation. You cannot just take our worlds." "I am not taking them," Zethkar said. "I am claiming them. There is a difference. The Krithian Empire formally declares its intention to occupy the following systems." A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing 5 star systems highlighted in red. "We are giving you 30 days to evacuate your people." "That is more generous than we need to be. After 30 days, those systems belong to the Krithian Empire. And if we refuse?" Kyle asked. "Then we will remove you by force. The Krithian Empire is prepared to enforce its claim." Zethkar's voice was matter-of-fact, like he was discussing the weather. "This is not a negotiation, Ambassador Morrison. This is a notification. We are following proper council procedure by informing you in advance." Kyle felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced it down. Getting emotional would not help. "Commander, I strongly advise you to reconsider this action. You are making a serious mistake." Zethkar laughed again. Other council members joined in. "A mistake? Ambassador, the Krithian Empire has never lost a war. We have fleets that could darken your sun. We have warriors who have trained for combat since childhood. What will you do? Send your diplomats to talk us to death? Will you file a complaint?" More laughter echoed through the chamber. Kyle felt his jaw tighten. He looked at each council member in turn. None of them met his eyes. They were going to let this happen. The non-interference protocols meant they would not help humanity, even if they wanted to. And Kyle was not sure any of them wanted to. "I request an immediate recess," Kyle said. "I need to contact Earth." "Granted," said High Counselor Drathrin, speaking for the first time. The Ancient Foreseen looked tired. "We will reconvene in 3 days." Kyle left the chamber as quickly as dignity allowed. Once he was in the private communication room, he locked the door and activated the quantum link to Earth. The connection took only seconds, faster than light communication being one of the few technologies humans had actually improved upon after joining the galactic community. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to President Ellen Crawford. She looked like someone's grandmother, with white hair and kind eyes. Kyle knew better. President Crawford had served in the military for 30 years before entering politics. She had been a soldier, a commander, and a strategist. "Mr. President," Kyle said, "we have a situation." He explained what had happened in the council chamber. As he spoke, he watched President Crawford's expression change. The kind eyes became hard. Her jaw set in a line Kyle had seen before in old military photos. "They are serious about this?" she asked when he finished. "Yes, Mr. President. The Crithian Empire is prepared to use military force. They have given us 30 days. And the Council? They will not intervene. Non-interference protocols." President Crawford was quiet for a long moment.
Kyle, how many people are in those colonies?
"Approximately 50 million, Mr. President. Men, women, and children. Families who have lived there for generations. And the Crithians think we will just leave? That we will abandon our people? They think we are weak, Mr. President. They have studied our recent history. They see our peaceful approach to galactic politics. They believe we have forgotten how to fight." President Crawford smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Then they have made a terrible miscalculation." Kyle returned to the council. "Be diplomatic, be polite, but give them no indication of what is coming. Let them think we are considering their demands. Buy us time. What are you planning, Mr. President? We have spent 200 years building a reputation as peaceful, reasonable people." That was the truth. It still is. But the Crithians need to learn something else. We chose to be peaceful. We were not forced to be peaceful. We remember how to fight. We just hoped we would never need to again. Are we going to war, Mr. President? No, Kyle, they are going to war. We are going to teach them why that was a mistake. Contact Admiral Sullivan. Tell him to activate Protocol Midnight. Tell him he has full authorization. And Kyle, this is important. Make sure every species in the galaxy knows what happened today. Make sure they know we tried diplomacy. Make sure they know we gave the Crithians every chance to back down. I understand. Mr. President, one more thing, Kyle. When this is over, when the Crithians realize what they have done, some people on the council will be frightened of us. They will see our military strength and worry we might use it against them. You need to remind them that we chose peace for 200 years. We chose it when we could have chosen conquest. We chose it because it was right, not because we were weak. That choice has not changed. But neither has our commitment to protecting our people. The screen went dark. Kyle sat in the quiet room for several minutes thinking about what was coming. He had served as ambassador for 10 years. In that time, he had negotiated trade agreements, settled disputes, and built relationships with dozens of species. He had never thought he would be here, preparing for war. But President Crawford was right. The Crithians had made a choice. They had chosen violence. They had dismissed humanity's warnings. They had laughed at the idea that humans might fight back. They had made assumptions based on incomplete information. They would learn. Soon, Kyle opened a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Jake Sullivan appeared on the screen. The admiral was younger than Kyle expected, maybe 50 years old, with sharp eyes and a calm manner. "Ambassador Morrison," Sullivan said, "I have been expecting your call. The president briefed me 10 minutes ago. Then you know what is happening." "I do. Protocol Midnight is being activated as we speak. Our forces are moving into position. The Crithians will not see us coming. Admiral, are we ready for this? The Crithians have a reputation. They are warriors. They have been fighting wars for centuries." Sullivan's expression did not change. "Ambassador, we have been preparing for this scenario since we joined the galactic community. We hoped it would never happen. We did everything we could to avoid it, but we were not naive. We knew there would always be species that saw kindness as weakness. We built our military accordingly." "The Crithians think we have 300 warships," Kyle said. "They do. That is what we registered with the Council. That is our active military fleet. What they do not know is how we define active military. Ambassador, every cargo ship in human space has military-grade engines." 3 weeks had passed since the Crithian Declaration. Ambassador Velthar of the Saurian Collective could not sleep. This was unusual for his species. Saurians normally slept only once every 10 days, but lately, Velthar found himself lying awake every night, his 4 eyes staring at the ceiling of his quarters on Zenith Prime. Something was wrong. He could feel it. The Saurians were one of the oldest species in the Council. They had been traveling between stars for over 5,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had watched young species make mistakes, learn from them, and grow. They had developed a sense for danger that came from experience. Right now, that sense was screaming at Velthar that something terrible was about to happen. He activated his communication console and sent a message to Ambassador Lin Ara of the Nexus Alliance. If anyone would understand his concerns, it would be her. The Nexus Alliance was almost as old as the Saurian Collective. Linara had served on the Council for over 60 years. She remembered things that most species had forgotten. Linara responded within minutes. Her face appeared on the screen, her silver skin reflecting the soft light of her quarters. Velthar, I was going to contact you. We need to talk. About the humans, Velthar said. About the humans, Linara agreed. Meet me in the observation lounge in 10 minutes. Bring the archive files from 200 years ago. The observation lounge was empty at this hour. Most species kept to their own time schedules, and few visited the common areas late in the station's night cycle. Velthar found Linara already there, standing by the massive window that looked out at the stars. Do you remember when humanity joined the Council? Linara asked without turning around. I do. I was there. You were there. Do you remember what happened before that? The Zarkon incident? Velthar felt a chill run through his body. He had tried not to think about the Zarkon incident. Most of the Council had tried to forget it. Yes, I remember. The Zarkon had been raiders. They attacked young species before those species could join the Council and gain protection. They would steal technology, take slaves, and destroy anything they could not use. They had been a problem for centuries, but the Council could not act against them because they operated outside Council space. Then the Zarkon had made a mistake. They had attacked a human colony world. The humans destroyed the entire Zarkon fleet, Velthar said quietly. 1,600 ships. Gone in less than a day. Not just destroyed, Linara said, turning to face him. Erased. The humans tracked down every Zarkon base, every outpost, every hidden station. They eliminated the Zarkon as a threat in 3 weeks. Then they came to us and asked to join the Council. I remember their president, General Patricia Hayes. She stood before the Council and promised that humanity would be peaceful. She said they had learned the cost of war. She also said something else, Linara reminded him. She said they come in peace, but they remember war. She said they choose diplomacy, but they do not forget how to fight. Velthar activated his datapad and pulled up the old recordings. He found the speech and played it. General Hayes appeared, younger than he remembered, wearing a formal diplomatic uniform that could not quite hide the soldier underneath. Her voice was clear and strong. We come in peace, but we remember war. We choose diplomacy, but we do not forget how to fight. We are friends to all who would be friends to us, but we will never again be victims. Never again be victims, Velthar repeated. We should have paid more attention to those words. The Crithians think the humans have grown soft, Linara said. They see 200 years of peaceful behavior and assume that is all humans are capable of. They do not understand that humans chose to be peaceful. They were not forced to be peaceful. What have you observed? Velthar asked. Linara pulled up her own datapad. Human colony worlds have begun evacuation procedures. That is public knowledge. But I have been watching the patterns. The evacuations are too organized, too calm. These are people who have practiced this many times. They are not panicking. They are following a plan. Perhaps they truly are leaving, Velthar suggested, though he did not believe it. Perhaps, but I have also noticed that human merchant traffic has changed. Ships are rerouting. They are avoiding certain areas of space. Mining operations in several sectors have gone silent. And Ambassador Morrison has stopped attending council sessions. He sends junior diplomats now. Where is Morrison? Officially, he has been recalled to Earth for consultations. But I tried to contact him yesterday. A human admiral answered instead. Admiral Jake Sullivan. I have never heard of him before. What did he say? He was very polite. Very professional, but cold. There was none of the warmth that usually characterizes human diplomacy. He thanked me for my concern and assured me that humanity was handling the situation appropriately. Then he ended the communication. Velthar felt the chill grow stronger. The humans are preparing for war. Yes, but the question is, what kind of war? The Council intelligence reports show that humans have approximately 300 active warships. The Crithians are sending 2 fleets, over 2,000 ships total. The numbers do not favor humanity. Unless the numbers are wrong, Velthar said slowly. They looked at each other. Linara spoke first. When humanity joined the Council, they registered their military forces as required. 300 warships. But what if that number only includes vessels that serve in active military roles? Human cargo ships are fast, Velthar said, thinking out loud. Faster than they need to be for commerce. Human mining stations have power generators that are far too large for their stated purposes. Human civilian pilots train for longer than most species train their military crews. We assumed they were simply over-engineering everything, Linara said. Humans have a reputation for building things stronger than necessary. But what if it was intentional? What if every civilian vessel can become a warship? Then the Crithians are not facing 300 ships, Velthar said. They could be facing thousands. We need to warn the Council, Linara said. Warn them of what? We have no proof. Just suspicions and old memories. The other Council members will think we are being paranoid. Then we need proof. Across the galaxy on the Crithian homeworld, Commander Zethkar was having a very different conversation. He stood in the war room of the Imperial Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of both Crithian and human forces. The 4th Fleet is in position, reported Admiral Corthan. 800 ships ready to jump into the Kepler system. The 7th Fleet is 2 days behind us, another 1,200 ships. And the human defenses? Zethkar asked. Minimal. Our scouts report that most human vessels have left the target systems. Those that remain appear to be civilian transports completing evacuations. We have detected no military presence beyond a few small patrol craft. They are running, Zethkar said with satisfaction, as expected. Humans talk about peace and diplomacy because they cannot fight. They built a reputation as reasonable negotiators because they have no other choice. The Council has remained silent, another officer reported. No species has offered to support humanity. The non-interference protocols are holding. Of course they are silent, Zethkar said. They know we are within our rights. The humans are a young species occupying territory they cannot properly defend. We are simply claiming what should have been ours from the beginning. When do we attack? Corthan asked. The deadline is in 7 days. But the humans are already leaving. We will strike in 3 days. Why give them more time to run? The 4th Fleet will jump into Kepler system at dawn. We will secure the colonies before the humans know what happened. And if the humans resist, Zethkar smiled, then we will crush them quickly and move on to the next system. This war will be over in a week. The galaxy will see that the Crithian Empire takes what it wants. Other species will think twice before denying us in the future. Back on Zenith Prime, Velthar received a message on his secure channel. It was from one of his intelligence officers, a Saurian who monitored communication patterns across the galaxy. The message was brief. Ambassador, we have detected unusual quantum communication bursts from human space. Encrypted, high priority. Destination unknown. Pattern suggests military coordination on a massive scale. Something is happening. Velthar forwarded the message to Linara and added a note. The Crithian 4th Fleet moves in 3 days. Whatever the humans are planning, it will happen soon. We should prepare ourselves. I suspect the galaxy is about to change. Linara responded immediately. I have been reviewing more historical records. Do you know what humans call a war where their entire species mobilizes? Where every resource, every person, every ship is dedicated to fighting. What do they call it? Total war. They have fought such wars before against themselves. They nearly destroyed their entire planet doing it. Now the Crithians are about to learn what happens when humans decide to fight that way again. Except this time all of humanity will be united. All of their resources will be focused on a single enemy. The Crithians do not know, Velthar said. They see human peace and think it means human weakness. They do not understand that humans are peaceful because they know exactly how terrible they can be in war. They chose peace because they had seen the alternative. The Kepler 442 system had been home to humans for 93 years. 5 million people had lived on 3 planets and 17 stations. They had mined rare minerals, conducted scientific research, and built lives far from Earth. It was not a rich system or a strategic one. It was simply home. Now it was empty. Or at least it appeared to be. The Crithian 4th Fleet jumped into the system exactly at dawn local time. 800 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Blade, and smiled at the tactical display. "Status report," he commanded. "Scanning now, Commander," the sensor officer replied. "I am detecting minimal activity in the system. No military vessels. I read several civilian transports near the third planet. They appear to be evacuating the last colonists, and defensive installations, a few automated platforms in orbit. Nothing significant. Wait, I am detecting one vessel holding position near the second planet's moon. Identifying now. It is a diplomatic frigate. Human design, small, perhaps 200 meters in length." Zethkar laughed. "They sent a diplomatic ship to meet our fleet? Are they planning to negotiate?" "The vessel is broadcasting, Commander. Audio only. Shall I put it through?" "Yes, I want to hear what they have to say." A woman's voice filled the bridge. It was calm and professional. "Crithian Fleet, this is Captain Nicole Sanders of the United Human Space Forces ship Resolute. You are entering sovereign human territory. This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. We do not want war, but we will not run from it." Zethkar's officers looked at each other. Several of them made sounds that might have been laughter or disbelief. One small frigate was warning an entire fleet to leave. The audacity was almost admirable. "Open a channel," Zethkar ordered. "Captain Sanders, this is Commander Zethkar of the Crithian Imperial Navy. Your warning is noted and dismissed. This system now belongs to the Crithian Empire. You have one opportunity to surrender your vessel and leave peacefully. If you resist, you will be destroyed. Choose quickly." There was a pause. Then Captain Sanders spoke again. Her voice had not changed. Still calm. Still professional. "Commander Zethkar, I gave you a chance. Remember that. All hands, this is Captain Sanders. Authorization code Sierra Victor 77. Execute protocol midnight. God help them." The channel went silent. Zethkar turned to his tactical officer. "What is protocol midnight?" "I do not know, Commander. It is not in our intelligence databases. Perhaps it is a code for their remaining forces to retreat." "Sir," the sensor officer's voice was sharp with alarm. "I am detecting power signatures. Multiple power signatures. Hundreds of them. They are all around us." Zethkar spun to face the main display. What had appeared to be empty space was suddenly alive with activity. Asteroids that had been floating lazily in the outer belt were moving. Not drifting. Moving with purpose and power. "Those are not asteroids," the tactical officer said, his voice tight. "Those are ships. Hundreds of ships. They have been hiding in the asteroid field. Their signatures were masked. I cannot get an accurate count. At least 500, maybe more. Impossible," Zethkar said. "Human intelligence showed only 300 warships in their entire fleet. Where did these come from?" "They are powering weapons, Commander. I am reading energy signatures consistent with directed energy weapons, missile systems, and kinetic accelerators. Sir, these are not light patrol craft. These are warships. Heavy warships." More alerts filled the bridge. The space around the Crithian fleet was no longer empty. Hidden weapons platforms built into the larger asteroids came online. What had appeared to be debris fields revealed themselves as carefully positioned mine networks. And still more ships appeared, dropping stealth systems that had hidden them perfectly. "How many?" Zethkar demanded. "I am counting over 800 vessels, Commander." "No, wait, more contacts. The number keeps growing. 1,000. 1,200? They are everywhere. We are surrounded." Zethkar felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. His 800 ships had jumped into what they thought was an empty system. Instead, they had jumped into a trap. The humans had not run. They had been waiting. "All ships, battle formation. Raise shields. Prepare for combat." Zethkar's voice carried authority even as his mind raced. They were outnumbered. That should not have been possible. But numbers alone did not win battles. The Crithians were warriors. They had better training, better tactics, better technology. They could still win this. The human ships opened fire. Zethkar had been in many battles. He had fought pirates, raiders, and rival empires. He thought he knew what space combat looked like. He was wrong. The human attack was like nothing he had ever seen. It was not the chaotic exchange of fire that characterized most space battles. It was precise, coordinated, surgical. Every human ship knew exactly what it was supposed to do and did it perfectly. Missiles came first. Thousands of them, launched simultaneously from hundreds of ships. They did not fly straight. They twisted and turned, following patterns that seemed random but were actually calculated to overwhelm Crythian defensive systems. The Crythian point defense weapons fired frantically, destroying many missiles but not enough. Not nearly enough. Explosions bloomed across the Crythian formation. Shields held on most ships, but the barrage was relentless. As soon as one wave of missiles was dealt with, another appeared. And another. The humans had more missiles than seemed possible. Then the energy weapons opened fire. Beams of concentrated light and particle streams crossed the space between the fleets. Zethkar watched as a cruiser's shields collapsed under sustained fire from 3 human vessels. The cruiser tried to maneuver away, but human ships moved with it, maintaining perfect firing solutions. Within seconds, the cruiser was dead in space, its systems destroyed with frightening efficiency. "They are targeting our ships in groups," the tactical officer reported. 3 or 4 human vessels focus fire on a single Crythian ship until it is destroyed. Then they move to the next target. "It is extremely effective. We are losing ships faster than we can respond. Return fire. All ships engage at will." The Crythian fleet fought back. Their weapons were powerful, their ships well designed. They managed to destroy several human vessels, but for every human ship that fell, 3 Crythian ships died. The exchange rate was terrible. "Commander, the humans are using tactics we have never seen before," the tactical officer said. "They are not fighting like a military fleet. They are fighting like a swarm. Each ship operates independently but coordinates perfectly with the others. There is no command structure we can target, no flagship to destroy. They adapt instantly to our maneuvers." Zethkar understood what that meant. The humans had not just hidden more ships than expected. They had developed an entirely new approach to space combat, one that turned the Crythian advantages into weaknesses. Crythian forces relied on discipline and hierarchy. Orders came from the commander and flowed down to individual ships. It was efficient when it worked, but it meant the fleet moved as a single organism. Slowly, predictably. The human ships did not wait for orders. They saw opportunities and took them. They covered each other without being told. They focused fire without coordination, because every captain knew instinctively where they were needed. It was chaos that somehow worked better than order. "We need to retreat," someone said on the bridge. Zethkar could not tell who. It did not matter. The sentiment was spreading. "No retreat," Zethkar snapped. "We are Crythian. We do not run from battle. All ships, press the attack. Target their largest vessels." It was the wrong order. Zethkar realized it as soon as he gave it, but it was too late. The Crythian ships moved forward, trying to close the distance to the larger human vessels. The humans let them come. Then the trap within the trap revealed itself. The asteroids that Crythian ships were passing were not just hiding places for human vessels. They had been turned into weapons. Explosives detonated. Railguns fired at point-blank range. The Crythians lost 50 ships in seconds, destroyed by defenses they had not known existed. "Commander, we have lost over half our fleet," the tactical officer reported. His voice was shaking now. "We cannot win this. We need to jump out now." Zethkar looked at the display. The tactical officer was right. Of 800 ships that had entered the system, fewer than 300 remained combat effective. The humans had lost maybe 100 vessels. The battle had lasted less than an hour. "All ships prepare for emergency jump," Zethkar ordered, the words bitter in his mouth. "Set course for Rally Point Beta. We will regroup with the 7th Fleet and return with overwhelming force. Sir, we are being hailed." The human ship, the Resolute. "Captain Sanders wants to speak with you." "Put her through." Captain Sanders appeared on the screen. She looked tired, but her voice was steady. "Commander Zethkar, you can run if you want. We will not stop you. But understand this. What you saw today was not our full strength. This was one system. We have defenses like this around every human world. If you come back, you will face the same thing. If you attack another system, you will face worse. This is not over," Zethkar said. "It could be. You can end this now. Withdraw your claim. Return to your..." The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called 36 hours after the Battle of Kepler 442. Every species in the galaxy had watched the battle broadcast live. The footage had been perfect, captured by human communication drones positioned throughout the system. Every species had seen the Crythian fleet arrive with confidence. Every species had seen that confidence turn to shock as hidden human forces revealed themselves. And every species had seen the Crithian fleet retreat in defeat. The council chamber was filled with voices speaking over each other. Ambassador Velthar had never seen the chamber in such disorder. Even High Counselor Drathrin seemed unable to restore calm. Finally, Drathrin activated the sound dampeners. The technology silenced everyone except the person standing on their designated platform. Order returned, but the tension remained thick enough to feel. "This council will come to order," Drathrin announced, his ancient voice carrying authority earned over centuries. "We are here to discuss the recent military engagement between the Crithian Empire and humanity. Ambassador Morrison has returned to address the council. Ambassador, please explain what we witnessed." Kyle Morrison stood on the human platform. He looked different than he had 3 weeks ago. Older somehow. More serious. The friendly diplomat who had served for 10 years had been replaced by something harder. "Honored Council," Kyle began. "What you witnessed was humanity defending its territory against unprovoked aggression. The Crithian Empire declared its intention to seize human colonies by force. We gave them warnings. We gave them opportunities to reconsider. They refused. They attacked. We defended ourselves. You destroyed over 500 warships," Ambassador Velthar said. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. The Crithian Fourth Fleet was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. "You eliminated it in less than an hour. How?" "By being prepared," Kyle replied. "When humanity joined this council 200 years ago, we made a promise to be peaceful. We kept that promise. But we also remembered our history. We knew that someday some species might see our peace as weakness. So we prepared. We built defenses. We trained our people. We hoped we would never need to use them, but we were not naive. Your registered military force is 300 ships," another ambassador interrupted. "You deployed over 1,000 vessels to Kepler 442. Where did they come from?" Kyle looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each ambassador in turn. "We registered 300 active military vessels. That number was accurate. Those are ships that serve in dedicated military roles crewed by active duty personnel. But the Council never asked about our reserve forces. You never asked about our civilian vessels that can be activated in an emergency. You never asked about our weapons platforms or defensive installations. You deceived us," someone accused. "No," Kyle said firmly. "We answered every question honestly. We provided every document requested. We followed every protocol. But we learned something when we joined the galactic community. Most species make a clear distinction between military and civilian. You have military ships and civilian ships, military stations and civilian stations. We do not make that distinction. Every human vessel has military capability. Every station can serve as a defensive platform. Every citizen receives basic military training. That is how we survived on Earth. That is how we built a civilization despite countless wars and disasters. Total preparedness, Ambassador Linara spoke up. "Ambassador Morrison, I believe I understand. Your species maintains what you call total war readiness. Every resource, every person, every vessel can be mobilized if needed. This is not deception. This is simply a different approach to security than most species use." "Exactly," Kyle said, nodding to her. "We hoped never to use this capability. For 200 years we traded peacefully, explored new worlds, and built friendships. We contributed to galactic science, art, and culture. We mediated disputes. We provided humanitarian aid. We were good members of this community. But we never forgot that peace requires strength to maintain." "How many ships can you actually deploy?" Velthar asked, the question everyone wanted answered. Kyle was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "At the Battle of Kepler 442, we deployed approximately 12% of our available force projection capability. We hoped that would be sufficient to demonstrate our seriousness without unnecessary bloodshed." The silence that followed was absolute. 12%. The humans had used only 12% of their military capability, and still destroyed over half the Crithian Fourth Fleet. Velthar did a quick calculation in his head. If humans could field 8 times the force they had used at Kepler 442, they could potentially deploy 10,000 combat-capable vessels or more. "That is impossible," someone said. "No species can maintain such a force. The resources required, the personnel, the logistics, it cannot be done." "It can be done if your entire civilization is designed around it," Kyle said. Humans do not have a military that protects civilians. We are a civilization where everyone is both civilian and soldier, where every ship is both transport and warship, where every station is both home and fortress. This is not unique to humanity. It is how we survived for millions of years. Every human tribe, every city, every nation learned this lesson. Those who could not defend themselves ceased to exist. We brought that lesson with us to the stars. High Counselor Drathrin raised his hand for attention. Ambassador Morrison, the Council acknowledges that humanity was defending itself against aggression. However, we must also consider the implications of your military capabilities. You have just revealed that humanity possesses one of the largest military forces in the galaxy. This changes the balance of power. Some members may feel threatened. With respect, High Counselor, we have possessed this capability for 200 years. Kyle replied. In that time, have we threatened anyone? Have we made territorial demands? Have we used our strength to bully or intimidate? No. We have been peaceful because we choose to be peaceful, not because we lack the strength to be otherwise. That is what makes us trustworthy. The Crithians may not see it that way, Velthar pointed out. Ambassador Genthar, what is your empire's position? The Crithian platform had a new ambassador. Genthar was older than Zethkar, with more scars and fewer decorations. He looked like someone who had seen real war and understood its cost. The Crithian Empire made a grave error, Genthar said, his voice rough. We believed human peace indicated weakness. We were wrong. Commander Zethkar has been relieved of command. Our 7th Fleet, which was en route to reinforce the 4th Fleet, has been recalled. The Empire is reassessing its position, so the Crithians are withdrawing their claim. Kyle asked. Genthar hesitated. The High Command is divided. Some believe we should withdraw. Others believe we cannot show weakness. The 7th Fleet is larger than the 4th, 1,200 ships. Some of our leaders believe that with greater numbers and better tactics we can still prevail. Then they learned nothing. Kyle said quietly, Ambassador Genthar, I will be honest with you because I believe you are a reasonable person. If the 7th Fleet attacks human territory, it will be destroyed, just like the 4th Fleet. And if your empire sends more fleets after that, they will be destroyed too. We do not want this. We take no pleasure in killing, but we will defend our people, always. What if we attack your homeworld? Genthar asked. Earth itself? The chamber went silent. Kyle's expression did not change, but something in his eyes became very cold. If you attack Earth, we will respond with our full strength. Not 12%. Not half everything. And when we are done, the Crithian Empire will cease to exist. Not because we want to destroy you, but because you will have given us no choice. We will mourn what we have to do, but we will do it. Ambassador Morrison? Drathrin interrupted. Such language is not appropriate for this chamber. High Counselor, with respect, I am being honest. The Crithians need to understand what they are facing. They need to know that humanity is not bluffing. We showed restraint at Kepler 442. We destroyed their military vessels but made no move against their homeworld or civilian populations. We could have. We chose not to. But if they force us into a total war, if they threaten our families and our homes, then we will fight that war the way we know how. Completely, decisively, until the threat is eliminated. Admiral Jake Sullivan appeared on a secondary screen, broadcasting from Earth Command. Honored Council, I am Admiral Sullivan, Commander of Human Defense Forces. Perhaps I can provide clarity. The battle at Kepler 442 was fought according to established rules of warfare. We targeted military vessels only. We allowed survivors to retreat. We offered mercy even to those who attacked us. This is who humans are. This is how we prefer to fight. But Ambassador Morrison is correct. If the Crithians escalate, if they force us into total war, we will adapt our tactics accordingly. What does that mean? Someone asked. Sullivan's expression was grave. It means we stop fighting to minimize casualties and start fighting to win as quickly as possible. It means we stop limiting ourselves to military targets. It means we use every weapon, every tactic, every strategy we have developed over 10,000 years. 4 days after the council session, the Crithian 7th Fleet entered the Proxima system. Admiral Corthan commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. He was older than Zethkar, more experienced and far more cautious. He had watched the footage from Kepler 442 dozens of times. He had studied every second of the battle, analyzing what went wrong. He would not make Zethkar's mistakes. Begin deep scans immediately, Korthan ordered as soon as the fleet arrived. I want every asteroid, every piece of debris, every energy signature analyzed. The humans like to hide their forces. We will find them before they find us. The 7th Fleet was larger than the 4th. 1,200 warships arranged in a defensive formation. Shields at maximum, weapons ready, point defense systems active. They were prepared for anything. Admiral, we are detecting no hidden vessels, the sensor officer reported after an hour of intensive scanning. The asteroid belt is clear. No weapons platforms, no concealed ships. The system appears genuinely empty. Korthan did not relax. Continue scanning. Check for stealth systems. The humans are here somewhere. But after 3 more hours of searching, the results remained the same. The Proxima system appeared to be abandoned. The colonies were empty. The orbital stations were powered down. There were no human vessels anywhere in the system. Perhaps they truly did evacuate, his second-in-command suggested. Perhaps the battle at Kepler 442 convinced them to avoid direct confrontation. Perhaps, Korthan said. But he did not believe it. The humans had been too confident at Kepler, too prepared. They would not simply abandon another system without a fight. Admiral, the High Command is requesting status, the communication officer said. Tell them the system is secure. We are proceeding with landing operations. Korthan ordered a battalion of troops to land on the primary colony world, Proxima Prime. If there was a trap, better to trigger it with ground forces than risk the entire fleet. The transports descended without incident. The troops reported no resistance as they moved into the colony's main settlement. The colony appears abandoned, the ground commander reported. Buildings are intact but empty. No people, no defenses. It is like everyone simply walked away. Keep searching, Korthan ordered. The humans are planning something, he was right. But even he could not have imagined what was coming. Lieutenant Greg Patterson crouched in a hidden bunker 3 kilometers below the colony's surface. Around him, 50 other human soldiers waited in silence. They had been here for weeks preparing. Above them, Krithian troops were walking through streets that appeared empty but were anything but. They are in position, someone whispered, watching the tactical display. Patterson activated his communication link to Admiral Sullivan, broadcasting from Earth. Sir, the Krithians have taken the bait. 40,000 troops on the surface. Their fleet is holding position in orbit. Request authorization for Protocol Scorched Earth. Sullivan's voice was quiet when he responded. Authorized, Lieutenant. Make it count. And may God forgive us for what we are about to do. Patterson turned to his team. Execute Protocol Scorched Earth now. The colony exploded. Every building, every street, every structure. The entire settlement had been rigged with weapons and explosives. But it was not random destruction. It was precision, automated systems activated. Drones emerged from hidden compartments. Turrets rose from underground positions. The colony itself became a weapon. Krithian troops found themselves caught in a nightmare. Every corner held danger. Every building was a trap. Drones hunted them through the streets. Automated guns fired from unexpected angles. And worst of all, they could not see the enemy. The humans were not there. The colony was fighting them by itself. Pull back. Get the troops out. The ground commander screamed into his communicator, but it was too late. The transport ships trying to evacuate troops were targeted by surface-to-air missiles. Several were destroyed before they could lift off. Others made it to orbit but were damaged and vulnerable. Korthan watched from orbit as his ground forces were decimated. In the first hour, he lost half his troops. In the second hour, he lost most of the rest. The survivors huddled in defensive positions, pinned down by automated systems that never tired and never stopped attacking. We need to support the ground troops, his second-in-command said. We can use orbital bombardment to destroy the automated defenses. No, Korthan said, his mind racing. That is what they want. They want us distracted. The moment we focus on the planet, they will strike from somewhere else. But sir, our troops are dying down there. I know, and I regret it. But we cannot save them if we lose the fleet. The humans are out there, somewhere, waiting for us to make a mistake. Korthan was absolutely correct. While the Krithian 7th Fleet was focused on the disaster unfolding on Proxima Prime, Captain Ryan Mitchell led a small strike force of 20 stealth ships through a series of careful jumps that brought them to the Krithian homeworld itself. The stealth technology was some of humanity's best. Developed over decades, tested and refined, It allowed ships to move through space almost invisible. The Crithian Home Defense Network never saw them coming. All ships, target locks confirmed, Mitchell said quietly. His crew worked in silence, their faces grim. They knew what they were about to do. They knew it would change everything. Sir, we have locks on all primary military targets, his tactical officer reported. Shipyards, defense platforms, command centers. All civilian centers are marked as restricted. The weapons will not engage civilian targets even if ordered. Good, Mitchell said. Remember, we are not here to kill civilians. We are here to remove their ability to make war. Fire when ready. The attack was surgical. Human missiles struck Crithian military shipyards with devastating accuracy. Defense platforms were destroyed in seconds. Command centers went dark. The Crithian home defense fleet tried to respond, but they were facing an enemy they could barely see. Human stealth ships appeared just long enough to fire, then vanished again. In 6 hours, the Crithian military infrastructure was crippled, not destroyed entirely, but damaged enough that it would take years to rebuild. And throughout the attack, not a single civilian building was touched. Not a single residential area was targeted. The humans made their point with precision, not massacre. When the attack ended, Captain Mitchell broadcast a message on all Crithian frequencies. His image appeared on every screen across the homeworld. People of the Crithian Empire, this is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the United Human Space Forces. We have just destroyed your military shipyards and defense networks. We could have destroyed your cities. We could have killed millions. We did not, because that is not who we are. But understand this, you cannot win this war. You cannot hide from us. You cannot protect yourselves from us. Your military leadership made the choice to attack humanity. That was a mistake. Now you must choose. Continue this war and watch your empire crumble, or make peace and live. You have 12 hours to respond. The message played on every channel, repeated in every language. The people of the Crithian homeworld looked up at their sky and saw human ships holding position in orbit. Ships that had penetrated their defenses without warning. Ships that could have killed them all but chose not to. Back at Proxima, Admiral Kor then received word of the attack on his homeworld. He sat in silence for a long moment, processing what it meant. The humans had not met his fleet in open battle. They had gone around him. They had struck at the heart of the Empire while his forces were distracted. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission, his communication officer said. It is from a human vessel. They are requesting to speak with you. Put it through. The screen showed a woman in a human military uniform. Admiral Samantha Wright. Admiral Corthan, I am offering you terms. Surrender your fleet peacefully, and we will escort you to a neutral station where you will be treated according to the rules of warfare. Your crews will be safe. Your ships will be returned after a peace treaty is signed, or you can fight and you will be destroyed. The choice is yours, but you need to make it soon. Where are you? Corthan asked. All around you. We have been here since you arrived. We let you focus on Proxima Prime. We let you think you were safe. Now you know better. As if to prove her point, stealth systems deactivated throughout the system. Human ships appeared on his sensors, hundreds of them, surrounding his fleet. They had been there all along, invisible and waiting. Corthan looked at his officers. They were brave warriors. They would fight if he ordered it. But they would die. All of them. And for what? Pride, honor? The war was already lost. The humans had shown they could strike anywhere, anytime. They had crippled the Empire's military production. They had proven they could reach the homeworld itself. Admiral Wright, Corthan said slowly. What are your terms? Withdraw all claims to human territory. Cease all hostile actions. Agree to peace negotiations under Council supervision. Your crews will be treated well. Your ships will be returned. The Crithian Empire can survive this, but only if you choose survival. Corthan thought of his troops dying on Proxima Prime. He thought of his homeworld, vulnerable and exposed. He thought of the 1,000 ships under his command and the lives they represented. I accept your terms, he said. The 7th Fleet surrenders. 2 weeks after the Crithian surrender, the Galactic Council gathered for what everyone knew would be a historic session. The massive chamber was filled not just with ambassadors, but with representatives from dozens of species who had requested permission to observe. The entire galaxy wanted to see what would happen next. Ambassador Genthar stood on the Crithian platform. He looked older than he had at the last session. The weight of defeat hung heavy on his shoulders. Around him, the chamber was silent as everyone waited for him to speak. Honored Council, Genthar began, his voice quiet but clear. I stand before you to formally announce the Crithian Empire's unconditional withdrawal of all territorial claims against humanity. We acknowledge that our actions were unjustified and aggressive. We accept full responsibility for initiating hostilities. The Empire offers formal reparations to humanity for damages caused during the conflict. He paused, looking directly at Kyle Morrison on the human platform. Ambassador Morrison, on behalf of my people, I apologize. We made assumptions based on ignorance. We mistook your peace for weakness. We have learned at terrible cost that we were wrong. The Crithian Empire seeks peace with humanity and hopes in time to earn your trust. Kyle stood and nodded with respect. Ambassador Genthar, humanity accepts your apology and your offer of peace. We take no pleasure in the losses your empire suffered. We wish this conflict had never happened, but we hope that something positive can come from this tragedy. Perhaps now the galaxy understands that peace and strength are not opposites. Perhaps now other species will think carefully before threatening their neighbors. High Counselor Dratharin spoke next. The Council acknowledges the Crithian surrender and humanity's acceptance of peace terms. However, we must now address the larger implications of this conflict. Ambassador Velthar has requested permission to speak on this matter. Velthar rose on his platform. His 4 eyes swept the chamber before he spoke. Honored Council, I wish to propose sanctions on human military expansion. The conflict with the Crithian Empire revealed that humanity possesses one of the largest military forces in the galaxy. This force was hidden from the Council's knowledge. While I do not question humanity's right to self-defense, I believe such power must be monitored and controlled for the sake of galactic security. Murmurs of agreement came from several platforms. Some species clearly shared Velthar's concerns. Humanity had shown incredible military capability. What if they decided to use it for conquest instead of defense? Kyle remained standing. Ambassador Velthar, may I respond? Please, Velthar said. Kyle activated a holographic display showing historical data. This chart shows humanity's behavior over the past 200 years since joining the Council. 0 wars of aggression, 0 territorial expansion beyond registered colonies, 300 humanitarian missions to species in need, 5,000 disputes mediated peacefully. Billions of credits spent on aid to developing civilizations. This is our record. This is who we are. He changed the display to show the Crithian Empire's record. Now compare that to the Crithian record during the same period. 7 wars of conquest. 3 species forced into vassalage. Routine violations of sentient rights. Hundreds of complaints filed with the Council. Ambassador Velthar, with respect, which species should the galaxy fear? The Crithians no longer have the power to threaten anyone. Velthar replied. Their military has been reduced to system defense forces. You, however, have thousands of warships, the power to destroy entire fleets, the ability to strike anywhere in the galaxy. That power makes people nervous, Ambassador Morrison. I understand that, Kyle said. Power should make people nervous. It makes us nervous too. That is why we have spent 2 centuries proving we can be trusted with it. We had this capability from the moment we joined the Council. We could have conquered our neighbors. We could have demanded tribute. We could have used our strength to dominate others. We did not. We chose peace. Every day for 200 years we chose peace. Admiral Jake Sullivan appeared on a secondary display, broadcasting from Earth. Honored Council, perhaps I can provide perspective. Humanity's military capability exists because of our history. We nearly destroyed ourselves in wars on our homeworld. We learned what happens when power is used without restraint. We learned what happens when violence becomes the first choice instead of the last resort. These lessons cost us millions of lives. We will never forget them. Our military doctrine is built on those lessons, Sullivan continued. We maintain strong defenses because we know predators exist. We train every citizen because we know threats can come from anywhere. But we also maintain strict moral guidelines. We limit civilian casualties. We offer mercy to defeated enemies. We follow rules of warfare even when our opponents do not. This is not weakness. This is wisdom earned through suffering. Ambassador Linara stood up on her platform. I wish to speak in support of humanity. I am one of the oldest members of this council. I have watched many young species join our community. Some come peacefully and remain peaceful. Some come violently and remain violent. Humanity is unique. They came to us fresh from defeating the Zarkon raiders, a feat that should have warned us of their capabilities. Yet from day one they chose diplomacy over force. They built relationships instead of demanding submission. They contributed to galactic culture instead of imposing their own. She looked around the chamber, her ancient eyes seeing things others might miss. We face a choice today, council members. We can fear humanity for their strength, or we can appreciate them for their restraint. We can punish them for being capable of violence, or we can celebrate them for choosing peace. I know which choice I prefer. I prefer to have humans as friends rather than force them to become something else through our suspicion and fear. Ambassador Linara raises an important point, another council member added. If we impose sanctions on humanity, what message does that send? That peace is punished? That species should hide their capabilities or lose their freedom? That the council fears strength more than aggression? Velthar was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was thoughtful. Perhaps I am allowing fear to cloud my judgment. You are correct that humanity has done nothing wrong. They defended themselves against unprovoked aggression. They showed remarkable restraint even in victory. My concern is not about what humans have done, but what they could do. With respect, Ambassador Velthar, that is always the problem with power, Kyle replied. Any species could misuse their capabilities. The Saurian Collective has advanced technology that could be weaponized. The Nexus Alliance has economic power that could be used to cripple other species. Every council member has abilities that could harm others. But we trust each other not to misuse those abilities. All we ask is that you extend that same trust to humanity. And if that trust is broken? Velthar asked. If humanity ever does become aggressive? Then the entire galaxy will unite against us and we will deserve it, Kyle said simply. We understand that our strength comes with responsibility. We understand that we must continue to prove ourselves worthy of trust. We accept that burden. All we ask is the chance to keep proving what we have been proving for 2 centuries, that humans can be powerful and peaceful at the same time. High Counselor Drathrin raised his hand. The council will vote on Ambassador Velthar's proposed sanctions. All in favor? 3 platforms lit up in agreement. A clear minority. All opposed? 8 platforms lit up. The proposal was rejected. The motion fails, Drathrin announced. However, I propose an alternative. Rather than sanctions, the Council will establish new military transparency protocols. All member species must accurately report their defensive capabilities, including reserve forces and dual-use civilian vessels. This information will be shared with all Council members to prevent future misunderstandings. Does this proposal have support? This time, all 12 platforms lit up in agreement, including the human platform. The motion passes unanimously, Drathrin said. Additionally, the Council formally condemns the Crithian Empire's unprovoked aggression and recognizes humanity's right to self-defense. This session is adjourned. As the platforms began to descend, Velthar approached Kyle. The 2 ambassadors met on the chamber floor, away from others. I hope I did not offend you with my proposal, Velthar said. You did not, Kyle replied. You had legitimate concerns. You expressed them openly. That is what this council is for. No offense taken. My species has been traveling the stars for 5,000 years, Velthar said quietly. In that time, we have seen many powerful species. Some used their power wisely, others did not. I admit that when I saw what humanity was capable of, I assumed the worst. I am glad I was wrong. You are not entirely wrong to be cautious, Kyle said. Power should be questioned. It should be watched. We expect that. We welcome it. Accountability keeps species honest. Linara joined them, her silver skin reflecting the chamber's lights.